You're listening to The Snipers Club. I'm your host, The Sniper, and today we've got an absolutely amazing guest who joins us for the first time. We've got Jaidyn, who's a Melbourne Storm superfan, and she's going to be doing the Melbourne Storm season preview with us. How's it going, Jaidyn?
Hello, thanks for having me. Yeah, it's going good. How about you?
Good, thanks. Thanks for joining us. It's exciting looking ahead to what's going to happen with your team this year.
Yeah, I know, definitely.
Great. So let's kick off. Let's kick off with the ins and outs. So this year the ins are Blore, the outs are Sims, Nicarima, Eisenhuth, Olam, Jennings, and Grant. Yeah. You guys came in 11th in attack last year and 11th in defence as well, but you finished the season in 3rd. So who do you think's the most impactful person that's left the club?
In terms of leaving the club, I'd probably say in a weird way, I'd say would be Olam, just due to experience and all of that. Not that I think he done too well last year, but probably like looking at the outs there, yeah, I'd definitely say Olam. The other guys were mainly just like, filling in through Origin or Sims in terms of like he got some game time, but mostly off the bench. So yeah, I'd probably just say Olam due to experience if he was going to find his form again.
Yeah. I thought Sims did quite a good job as a stopgap last year. What did you think of him?
Yeah, I thought he was pretty good. I mean, I thought he'd more so lock down that second row spot, to be honest. But yeah, I do agree. I think that he did well in the middle and sort of held up our middles.
Okay. So if you had to rate the Storm's performance out of 10 last year, what rating would you give them, Jaidyn?
Probably maybe like a 6 or 5, probably a 5 out of 10.
Wow.
Yeah, I'd say a 5 out of 10.
That's on the low side, huh?
Pretty harsh considering they finished 3rd, but I just don't think I was surprised they finished 3rd, to be honest. They're always in games, but I think looking at that squad and the players they didn't have and Paps getting injured and stuff like that, I don't think it was that good to watch as a Melbourne Storm fan.
Because you guys found a way, and as you said, you always do stay in games. So considering you, on the stats, you were 11th in attack and defence, did you actually overperform last season?
Yeah, I thought, I mean, you could put it that way. We did overperform for sure. Like, I don't know how we finished it, as I said, but 11th in attack, 11th in defense. Just comes down to probably the rest of our spine. I mean, Bellamy as a coach, I just feel like it had to be something to do with that, because across the park I don't think all that great.
Yeah. If we had $1 for every time he looked like he was going to be falling off his chair, we'd have made a fortune out of that, right?
Yeah, I know. Isn't that always the case?
Because you see him squealing there.
I know.
The guy looks in pain.
I feel like though he's settled down as the years have come on.
Yeah. Okay. What were the Storm's weak spots, and where did you think they excelled last season? Because if we look at the try map, it's clear that you conceded most tries to right wingers, and that's a stat that was, pretty dominant.
Yeah. I feel.
So, what do you think they did well? What do you think?
I think in terms of them doing well, I think it was what you said, they overperformed, to be honest. I think the players they had out there and losing Kafusi and Kenny and our forwards were all pretty inexperienced. So I think in the sense they finished 3rd, that was probably them going well. And then Nick Meaney also, he filling in at fullback. I mean, doesn't light up the field, but he did pretty well. Stepping in for Paps. And then in terms of not so good, I think I would say definitely, as you alluded to, our right side defense. I feel like in saying that, it's always seems to be our problem. Like year on year, it's always our right side. And I know like Munster, Trent, they're fairly strong defenders over on the left. But yeah, the right side, we do have Warbrick now, who I think is really good defensively. I think he's the best defensive winger we've had in a while. So I'm hoping that side just keeps improving.
So who do you think the main culprits were in defence? Because when we spoke earlier in the season, you were saying, look, our centres and our second row just keep jamming in and they're leaving gaps on the left and the right.
Yeah, I think that it's... We do tend to defend up and in. Bellamy's always sort of, like, we've always played that way. I think it's just more the players that we had there, just, like Olam, for example, just reads it wrong. And he comes in sort of, and no one else is on the same page. And like sometimes him and Seve and Young, they all sort of seem like they're just running around sort of thing. So I think we, if we can, finalize some centers, good defensive centers, I think we should go a long way to doing it, like keeping them out defensively.
Yeah, because we had a young Tonomapea as being pretty much the dominant weak spot, and he was being targeted most games. Do you think he's going to end up firmly in reserve grade this season, or do you think he'll be back in the first team?
Oh no, I definitely think he'll be in reserve grade. I think that was another thing. Even the fact he was in the team before Olam and Remus Smith last year, I was sort of I found that a bit weird. But I think that was just a reflection of how we'll go in, and Olam and Remus Smith weren't in the best form, and Craig Bellamy obviously saw Young as the best option, which, surprised me. Same with Seve, to be honest. But I think both of those guys would be mainly reserves unless there's, say, an injury or something like that,
Yeah, because Young does carry a try threat. He scored 2 or 3 tries last season, didn't he?
Yeah, he's super strong. I think 2 coming from Union. Like, he was with Storm and then went to the Rebels, and he's kind of been around. So he sort of plays that Union style, like dips his head down and, very strong, can break tackles. But defensively, he just gets found out too much. And we're already fairly weak on our edges. So it's, I don't think he'll be getting first crack.
Okay. And looking at the other side, what do you make of Seve so far?
I put him in the same category sort of as Young. I know there's a few fans out there that love him, but I think he's very good in attack. I think he's got a lot of strengths to his game in attack, but also the same as Young. Defensively, I just think the way Storm defends, it just doesn't maybe suit them. I'm not sure, but sometimes the decisions they make aren't the greatest. So I think he'll be in the same boat. He'll only sort of be there if there's an injury to, say, Remus Smith or Meany.
That's harsh, Jaidyn. I quite like Seve. Yeah. That's harsh from your side.
Really?
Yeah, that's harsh. I mean, I like him going forward. Close to the try line, he's definitely a big threat. And I think we can we can win some good bets on him this year. In defence, you're probably right.
I will not bet on Seve, just the pride, I can't do it.
But you'll bet on Fanua Pole, happily.
Hey. For good reason.
Absolutely. Okay, cool. Let's move on. Were you guys too reliant on Big Nelson last year? And what did you think of his performances on the edge?
Too reliant, you could probably say so. But in saying that, I think it was just once again a reflection of the rest of our team. I think they were just trying to find something, and we usually have, Paps out the back and sort of our spine has a lot of time and space and threats. But without Paps, Meany was there, so we weren't really having like joy on our edges, like wing centers in terms of that. So I think they were just, Nelson was our big guy. They put him on the edge because Katoa and Trent Liero and Katoa's pretty good, but they just across the park we just weren't really doing too much. So I think they just saw him as the answer, and I do think we were over reliant.
Yeah, I was looking out for him last season to try and trample Cody Nikarima. That would have been a huge mismatch, but I don't think it ever happened. But that was the plan, wasn't it? Deploying him on the edge there. He's going to look for the small guys, target them, and just bust straight through, huh?
Yeah, well, to be honest, anytime I saw him on an edge, like live, I'd call up, put a live bet on it. I was like, it's just the mismatch is crazy. But when the year before, when Kafusi was there, when he came back from injury, Bellamy actually rotated them too. I know a lot of people didn't really realise, but they were actually rotating on the edge. So I knew for sure last year, like Nelson was going to get a crack there when Fusi and Kenny were gone. So I saw it coming, but I just don't think it really worked out the way they wanted it to.
Do you think Nelson will have a different role this year?
Yeah, for sure. I think he'll go back to the middle. I don't think we'll see him on an edge much at all. I mean, depending how that left edge shapes up, we're not quite sure yet. But I think they'll go back to using him as they used to in the middle.
Okay. So who do you think is going to be your number 13 this year then?
Well, going off the trials, it looks like it's going to be Trent. Yes, it was King, but it looks like Trent's won that spot. Maybe he's got a better passing game. He looked alright in the trials. He's a hard worker, can defend. So I'd probably say Trent will be that starting 13 if going off the trials is anything to go by.
Okay. Do you think his ball playing's good enough?
From what I've seen, no, to be quite honest. But in saying that, in the middle, it's not too, it's not the same as catching past your centre or like that fast. So, I think he can pass, but it's going to be interesting to see how he goes. He's definitely got a better passing game than King. I mean, I don't feel like I really saw King pass too much.
Okay. Let's go back. You spoke briefly about Meany there. Barely misses a kick. Solid. Quick across the field. Does manage to spot a gap. Yeah. He did quite a good job for you. Are you being harsh on Meany as well?
No, I'm not being harsh on Meany. I think that, well, as you said, we're 11th in attack. So, I mean, that's not the greatest. And these days, teams' fullbacks are so important to the shape, and especially Storm. Like, we have Harry, Munster, Hughes, like our spine stack. So, having that fullback piece that, like good passing game and really fast off the mark and like very agile in terms of Pappenhausen. I just think Meany just wasn't that threat, and it's not his fault. I just don't think he's like a specialist like fullback in terms of what sort of goes around these days. So, but he did well. He did well.
You're just a meanie, aren't you?
No,
very hard to get points off you.
Hey, 11th in attack. I'll stick by it.
No, so because you've got Pappy, who's an absolutely gun fullback, and I think if you did have him last season, those stats of coming 11th in attack just wouldn't be there, would they? Because he makes massive impact.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what I mean. I'm not being too harsh on Meany, but I just think that Pappenhausen, if we had our fullback that obviously we've signed to have, and he didn't have that long-term injury, like we wouldn't be 11th. No way. That spine's too good. And not only that, without the ball, he's a bit like Slater. He's always around, so he just creates so much space for the players around him and the rest of his spine. He doesn't even need to touch the ball. He's just got to be there in shape, and he's creating something somewhere. So. Yeah,
those combos with Faolongo when they played together last year were just excellent. Love those. Will we see them again soon?
I reckon we will. Yeah, I did hear Bellamy in an interview last week, and he was saying that Sua will start in reserve grade because he's been battling a shoulder injury in the preseason. But he did also say that he won't be there for long in reserve. So that was an interesting comment that I heard. So it looks like, he's probably going to be in the 17, maybe 3-4 weeks in, I reckon.
Okay. How would you accommodate them in the same team?
Well, I've heard that he's a fairly good winger, and I have seen some highlights in Queensland Cup. But I don't think he's not going to knock off Warbrick or Coates unless Warbrick was moving into the centres, which I feel like if that was going to happen, they would have done that during pre-season. So I would say that I would say he comes in the 14, comes off the bench. He's a strong kid. He's like break tackles. Even if it's a 20-minute stint, I just think that play with two fullbacks in attack wise. And I think they'll kill it. They're both electric, to be honest. So
Yeah, that will be so good to watch this season. For sure.
It'll be awesome.
So, I mean, I'm personally not a fan of Tedesco at all here. He's got 3 jerseys. I'd like to see him lose all 3. I don't think he should be captain for the Roosters, or for Australia, or for the Blues. Do you think Pappy could be the man to dethrone him and take the number 1 jersey off him for the Blues?
At his best, he's definitely got the talent. I mean, yeah, if Paps was there and Tedesco was the one to make way, I mean, I feel like you couldn't really argue it if Paps was in his best form. But in saying that, I think that I can't see them dropping Tedesco or leaving him out. I mean, even on the weekend, he looks like he's had a really good preseason and all of that. And I just think that if he's maybe 90% of his best, 80% of his best, they'll stick with him until he sort of hangs up the boots or goes out on his own term.
Yeah, but how often did we see his best last season? It was very, very rare, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, for sure. He wasn't in good form at all.
No, and he slowed the Roosters' attack down considerably.
Yeah, for sure. He definitely did. And I also, to defend him, I also think that he's the halves that they had there weren't really helping him either. Like, they just didn't look that great. And I know they dropped Walker for good reason. I wouldn't even say he would have made it better because they dropped him. But I just think the whole spine in the Roosters wasn't really didn't look that great, and that would have wouldn't have been good for Tedesco. So I'm defending him.
Okay. Yeah, bizarre. Do you think you guys have been able to plug the hole that was left when Cheese left the club?
Definitely not. I feel like we've probably even had to go to a different sort of structure, game plan. We just haven't. I mean, we've had Wishart and Garlic coming off the interchange and all of that, but it's just not the same. I mean, there's not many players who play like Brandon Smith that are going to be coming off the bench, sort of thing. But I just think it's probably impacted Harry a little bit, to be honest. But I don't think we've plugged that hole.
Because it looks like you missed the speed of his play the balls last year, and that stunted your attack to some degree and made the attack a little bit more predictable. Do you think that's a fair comment, or do you think I'm being a little harsh there?
No, I think that's a fair comment, especially combined with what I said before about Meaney and he's not that electric sort of fullback you get when Paps or Su'a are playing. So I just think all of that combined, just didn't look that good.
All right. Shall we move on to the golden boy number 2? Shall we move on to Harry Grant?
Yeah, we could talk about Harry.
I want to know what you think of Harry Grant. I'm sure you love him.
Yeah, of course. I do. He's a gun. I think he's so intelligent, obviously football-wise. I wouldn't want any other hooker in the game, to be honest.
Absolutely not. And he seemed to carry the team on his back at points last season.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And the way he combines with Hughes and when Paps is there, even our forwards, he's just so intelligent. The way he sees the game, it's like it's sort of that little bit slower for him. A bit like Cameron Smith, to be honest.
Yeah.
But so good.
So let's move on. So we're looking at a few of the kids now, and this kid isn't exactly an unknown. There've been big raps on him for a while. What are your thoughts on Jack Howarth?
From what I've seen, he looks really good. It's just I don't fully know what's going on there. I would think that he would have had his shot by now, especially considering last year Trent didn't do that great. He's good in defense, but in attack we just almost didn't even need a second rower on that left edge with Trent there in attack. So I just think, I'm surprised we haven't seen him yet. From what I've seen, he looks really good. I've watched a little bit of him in Queensland Cup. I saw him in the round 26 clash, I think it was, or round 25 last year when he debuted. Looks good. It's going to be super interesting because I know he also can play centre. So Yeah, I'm surprised we haven't seen him yet, considering we're lacking in both of those positions. So,
Where have you seen him when you've seen him play?
in where I've seen him in Queensland
back
Cup.
row?
Oh yes. He's played both in reserve grade. I've seen him. Yeah.
Where do you think he did better, at centre or in the back row?
I think he's a better back row, second row. Yeah, I think he's better in the back row, to be honest.
Yeah, because if you look at the stats from the Queensland Cup last year, he played 17 games, he had 5 line breaks, he had a 90% tackle efficiency rate. So he did fairly well. And when I've seen him, he has been quite impressive. He looks like he's got a little bit of an X factor that can potentially change a game as well. Let's move on. We've got a question here from a member and friend of the channel, Music Life. The question he asks is, why is the Storm a protected species in the eyes of referees? And why do they get all the 50-50 decisions?
Oh, come on.
Any thoughts on that, Jaidyn?
Come on now, is he living in 2012? Nah.
Is that a fair comment? Are you a protected species?
That is not a fair comment.
No?
Our comments on Meanie are more fair, to be honest. And Seve.
Okay. Right, so you go to training fairly often towards finals. Are there any kids in particular, other than Howarth or Faulongo, that you think might be able to break into first grade this year? Is there a Smokey that we can keep our eye on?
I don't know if you would say kid. He's definitely a Smokey though. Because I mean, we would have seen him in reserves. There's 2 of them, but Lazarus, I'm not too sure how to say his last name, and Joe Chan. I think they're both gonna get run this year in the 17. And Joe Chen especially, I think that he looks really, really good, and if he keeps up that form, I honestly reckon he'll be a regular in our team. But Lazarus is a young guy coming through, and maybe he might be mid-20s actually, but he looks really, really good as well, really strong. Both, yeah.
Is one of them better in defence? Is one of them more of a try threat?
Joe Chan looks like it. Yeah, he's just so strong, good both sides of the ball. Very, very strong. And Lazarus is similar, strong. He's a big guy. I think he'll be like causing trouble and making a lot of tackle breaks throughout the year.
Let's move on then. So let's have a look. What do you think would define a good season for the Storm? What are you looking for?
I would say everyone, like the 17 that we should sort of have all year round. I would probably say anything other than top 6 would be a fail. Even top 4 to 6. Yeah, I think we need to finish in there with the spine that we have and everything like that. I know the forwards aren't the greatest, but with the spine that we have, we need to be finishing top 6. Minimum.
Okay, what about the doomsday scenario? What happens if Pappy goes down again? I hope it doesn't happen because I love the guy.
I think Sewer has to be fullback. I know Bellamy likes to play it safe, and he's just sort of always been that coach, but he needs to give Sewer that fullback spot if that happens. I just don't, as I said earlier, I just don't think Meanie offers enough to mix it with those top sort of teams.
Okay. Who was your kicker in the trials, by the way, Jaidyn?
It was Meanie.
Okay. Because some people have been speaking about potentially Pappy being a good bet for top point scorer this year. Do you think he'll be kicking regularly?
I have seen that. I mean, he scores that many tries as well. But I think I'm sort of thinking that maybe they're just kind of going to ease him in and then maybe give him the kicking duties. But because he's just coming right back from obviously that ankle injury, I think maybe they're just he's focusing on other things for now, and they're easing the pressure off him a little bit. And Meanie's a very good goal kicker, like very, very
for
good
sure.
goal kicker. So I don't think I feel like Meanie will definitely start the first month or two, and then Yeah, and then I don't even know if they'll change it, to be honest, because, yeah, Meany's just, you can't go much better.
No, he's solid. So if we look back at the last couple of seasons, so Izako was top point scorer last year. I think it was Val Holmes the season before, wasn't it?
I'm not too sure about that one.
Yeah, it might be Holmes, and I think Garrick may have been slightly close to him as well. Do you think that's a decent bet? Pappenhausen top point scorer at $41. I don't think I'd take it.
I'd probably, yeah, I'd put I wouldn't be shocked, put it that way. Especially he scores that many tries. He's like a Slater. Like, he's always around the ball. Any break, he'll be there. But he definitely, you would, going off the other players you named, he'd need to be kicking to sort of take that crown. So yeah, I'd say probably not. I think Meany will probably kick this year, to be honest.
Do you think this is Bellamy's last season?
Yeah, I reckon he's going to hang it up.
Why? Because in theory, he could go on 3 or 4 more years at least, couldn't he?
Yeah, I think he could. I don't know. I mean, don't know what his plans are or anything like that. What he sort of, if he wants to move back to Queensland or yeah, I'm not too sure. But yeah, I think he'll probably hang it up at the end of the year. I think he said a few times that he's sort of getting past it, and he's always in 2 minds. So I think like eventually that's just going to overpower it, and yeah, he'll give it up.
Right, let's move on to the moment of truth. What is your prediction? Where will the Storm finish the season this year?
I would say, I reckon they're going to finish 3rd.
Okay, all right. I've got them down finishing 4th. And that's as long as Pappy can stay fit. I think he makes a massive difference.
Oh, that's
and
nice.
who's yeah? And who's your prediction for the Spoon this year as well?
The Spoon, the Tigers, they just didn't look good at all.
Yeah, not the Dragons.
No, I actually reckon the Dragons will, like, they're not going to finish in finals or anything, but I reckon they'll be around about maybe 14th, 12th.
Wow.
I reckon they'll go okay. Yeah, I think they'll go alright.
Because on paper, the Tigers are stronger than the Dragons. If the coach is new, Benji may not be that experienced, and they may not be getting very clear instructions from the coach there. I'm torn on this, Jaidyn. I wouldn't know. If I had a free $100 bet, I wouldn't know where to put it.
I don't think that. Yeah, I think what you said is Benji. But also Shane Flanagan's back at Dragons. I mean, Ben Hunt's there. I just think they're also their outside backs. I don't know. Tigers just seem to be a little bit all over the shop, and they did sign Olam, who I don't think they sort of needed. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think they really gel that well. And in their trials, they didn't look like they were gelling either. So it'll be interesting.
Okay. If you had $100 free bet, and you had to pick the top Melbourne Storm Tryscorer this year, who would you put it on and why?
Coates. Xavier Coates. I would put it on him because I just think that Trent's gone now. Well, he should be gone now on that left edge. I think we'll have good attacking second rower. That's what I'm hoping. With Paps back, Paps loves the left. He's got a good right to left passing game, and Coates is just good finisher. And I just think Munster will be in form with Pappenhausen back. The spine will be gelling, and I think Coates, lock him in.
That sounds like a good one. So for our listeners there, Coates top try scorer for the Melbourne Storm. We'll check the odds for you and put it in the show notes. What's happened to Munster? Is he out for the first few rounds?
Well, there's word about that he is. There's word that he's 50-50 for round 1. So you would say round 2, there's not much of a risk. But something. I think he's got a groin problem. But so that's no good. We would have hoped that he would be fit, but I would say he said 50-50. So I'd say he might maybe miss this week, but definitely be back for round 2.
Okay, perfect. So you've got a massive game on Friday. I think you've won the first game of the season, 21 years in a row. Do you think that'll continue into this weekend, or are things looking a little bit suspect?
Nah, nothing suspect. We got it. We're gonna win. I reckon with our spine back and our forward rotation looks heaps better than last year. Our centres look better. I'm happy that Meany's in the centres. He's a very smart footballer. So yeah, I'm gonna say that we'll be right. We'll look better than last year. And Panthers have lost a few. So yeah, I think,
awesome.
I think
let's lock that in as well, Jaidyn. Jaidyn, thank you so much for joining us.
No worries. I've loved it.
Hopefully you'll be back with us soon. Good luck for the Panthers game this weekend. You've been listening to the Snipers Club. Please like, share, and help our channel grow.